That's next, but first time for Countdown's number 2 story. Tonight's worst persons in the world, the bronze, to Charles E.F. Millard, the Bush administration's director of the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. Just months before the economy hit the wall last year, he took most of the $64 billion in the government pension fund, the fund from which more than 1 million Americans get pension checks and which guarantees the pensions of another 43 million of us, and he moved it out of bonds and into stocks. Foreign market stocks, real estate company stocks, stocks tied to private equity funds. The fund's stocks promptly dropped 23% as of last September 30th. Pension Guaranty will not say how much its stocks have dropped since last September 30th. Mr. Millard is a former managing director of Lehman Brothers. I'm not sure, but I think he's now the CEO of the hot dog cart over here on 6th Avenue. Silver, the disgraced ex-New York Times columnist, William Kristol, a caller to C-SPAN, pointed out how he and so much of the right-wing echo chamber had hyped the president's phony claim, the former president's phony claim that Iraq had WMD, and he asked, will you personally apologize to those folks right now? Simple yes or no, thank you. Kristol did as asked. No. I think the war was right. I think we've succeeded in the war, and I think those lives, we should honor those soldiers who gave their lives and who fought so hard and also were wounded for what they did. And also in Afghanistan, gee, you know, it must be great when faced with criticism of the greatest mistake of your life, the only time that you utterly failed in the very limited demands made on you by your nation, the time you prevaricated and Americans died as a result, Bill. It must be nice to be addressed by that and then just be able to change the topic. And also in Afghanistan, but our winner Glenn Beck getting more pub out of this transparent, holier-than-thou, hypocritical 9/12 project, which the New York Times today described as, quote, an initiative to reclaim the values and principles that he said were evident the day after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. On a special broadcast, he asked, whatever happened to the country that loved the underdog and stood up for the little guy? What happened to the voice of the forgotten man? Well, what happened to it was people like Glenn Beck killed it out of selfishness and prejudice and the hatred that boils in their souls. 2 days before the 4th anniversary of 9/11, Glenn Beck, Mr. Spirit of 9/12, went on the radio and said, quote, you know, it took me about a year to start hating the 9/11 victims' families. It took me about a year. And when I see a 9/11 victim family on television or whatever, I'm just like, oh, shut up. I'm so sick of them because they're always complaining. And we did our best for them. To Beck's credit, he noted to the Times, quote, if you take what I say as gospel, you're an idiot. You ever seen The Music Man, where the con artist walks into River City and sells the rubes band instrument after band instrument that they can't possibly afford? Harold Hill, or as he now calls himself, Glenn Beck. Today's worst person in the world.